Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm your host here, the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to talk about the Ohio Hatian situation and how deja vu is actually precognitive dreaming becoming reality. So, this is probably going to be about maybe 20-ish minutes, give or take, because I realized that my StreamYard has only got a few hours left on it right now, and I got to still do the Friday episode, and then probably slightly more Saturday too, if that be the case then, which is probably going to be very short, honestly, depending on how much time is left there, because I got about 3 hours there, it is, so before it would reset sometime Saturday night, I think is what it is. But anyway, I wanted to come on here and talk about this for a minute, because obviously, if those don't know, the bullshit temporary protection status that was unconstitutionally put in place by that asshole cheater Biden during his completely unconstitutional presidency, which should have never been happening anywhere in this country. We should have had immediate removal from office of that scumbag and Kamala too, for that matter, for voter fraud, etc. And the fact that they weren't is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that they're not saying federal president right now, but they're still alive, is absolutely more ridiculous. The fact that anything that Biden put in place, from that piece of shit Taji Brown Jackson being put on the Supreme Court to everything else for that matter, really, honestly, at this point in history, needs to be null and voided under Murray versus Madison ruling, which basically is anything can be looked at as unconstitutional. Should be looked at as written to begin with, what it is there. And that's exactly what everything is in the whole Biden presidency, is what it is, because it's not even a presidency. It's literally an asshole who stole office, the highest office in the country, and got away with it, basically, without being criminally charged for voter fraud, for stealing elected office, etc., etc. That's what it is. So, and one of those things that included, obviously, him putting in this bullshit protection status for Haitians that came into America, which we didn't want here to begin with, so I'm going to point that right now, dude. Like, no Ohioans voted for these people to come in. It was that fucking scumbag rhino sack shit, Mike DeWine, who brought them here without our fucking consent, without our vote, etc. And then basically gave them status there in Springfield, Ohio, and a few other places around the state of Ohio, so it is there. Since they've come here, they have absolutely stolen tens of millions, not hundreds of millions of dollars at this point, from the Ohio taxpayers just to house them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think somebody even brought up the fact it might be a couple billion now, actually. For the time they've been here now is what it is, which wouldn't not surprise me at all, honestly. Especially when you look at how many cars that they have had where they've caused the accidents and stuff like that, and caused like either major crashes or just minor fender benders, stuff like that. So just insurance costs alone is astronomical, is what it is. And I'm sure that's in the tens of millions of dollars, honestly, at this point. I wouldn't be mistaken. So, but, and that's one thing I do want to point out people never talk about, is how it was interpreters here in Ohio, in the Springfield area, or at least around the state of Ohio, as it was there, who were sent to this place there in Springfield to interpret for these people, to take driving tests, to get licenses in our state for some reason, which I have no idea why they're giving them that stuff. They're only going to be here a couple of years, is what it is. That's the entire point of being temporary, is you're only going to be here for like a couple of years, what it is then. And the entire point of the matter is, these interpreters were openly telling them the answers to the questions on the driving tests. So they were taking a bunch of low IQ retards who, number one, didn't fucking speak English, number two, cannot understand our fucking road signs because they're written in English, because they don't fucking speak our English dialect, is what it is there. Number three, they refused to learn English, even though we provided them the classes at our expense, where they basically like told us to go piss up a rope, essentially, and that right there we should have kicked them out right then, and that was what it was then. But of course we didn't. And then number four was, you then had the interpreters literally telling them the answers to questions for driving tests that they had no business having a driver's license after, is what it was there, because they could not actually answer those questions on their own. And so that's why you had so many people getting into car crashes there, because these morons that had no business having licenses at all, or being behind the wheel of a vehicle whatsoever, were literally driving on our fucking roads and causing major accidents, as it was then. Not to mention, the whole thing when Trump came out was like, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats and stuff like that. Dude, they were eating fucking everything that wasn't nailed down. They were eating, they were literally going into parks here. And you literally had women and children that were over there feeding ducks. And these motherfuckers were running up into the ponds and grabbing the ducks out, snapping their fucking necks in front of kids, and then walking off them to go eat them in the fucking, like, some makeshift ass, like, little grill or something they had there at the park is what it was. Like, they were just plucking the feathers out right there and just, like, throwing the whole thing on there is what it was then. So, I also want to point out that when you look at Haiti itself and how much of a hellhole it is, these motherfuckers will eat dirt cookies, dude. They take a bunch of mud, a bunch of literal dirt, mix it with a little bit of flour, and then call it a cookie. They spread that shit mixture out on basically a basketball court is what it is there in Haiti, or like any kind of gravel, or any kind of like cement they can find, basically that's like a flat surface, and let the sun basically solidify it and make it like hard, and then they give those to kids to eat them is what it is. And the saddest part is, like, you look at when the documentary was actually made about that, about the mud cookies, dirt cookies, whatever we call them at that point, it was like over 20 years ago now. So the people that are coming over here now under this protection status were the little kids that somehow survived that shit like 20 years ago. And it's like, why the fuck do I want these people in my country, dude? Oh yeah, that's right, I don't. And when you're literally having them take resources that should be going to American citizens, that should be going to kids' education, which is what they're doing a lot of there is what it was. Because the point is, where they put them in Springfield, Ohio, there is what it was. It was a small town area. And its resources were already thin when it came to anything. And so they were literally taking financial money that was meant for kids that needed special needs education and people like specifically for teaching assistants, so they could actually teach these kids that were special needs, and handing that money over to these Haitians in various factors, whether it be in housing stuff, whether it be in food things and whatnot. Not to mention the fact that you had Americans who were going hungry here, Ohioans who were going hungry here, because they were allowing these fucking Haitians to cut the line at food banks and shit like that and take the food that was meant for American mouths is what it is, dude. So again, why the fuck were they here to begin with? Oh yeah, because a bunch of assholes wanted fucking voting blocks is what it is, and aren't Americans, and aren't white, etc. And it makes absolute sense. You have pieces of shit like Mick Ramaswamy now going out and being like, no, we need to keep these people here. Go fuck yourself, Vivek. You are the biggest piece of shit anchor baby ever in this fucking country, motherfucker. Take your bitch ass back to fucking India and get the fuck out of Ohio, asshole. Because we don't want you here, we don't need you here, and you're not going to be our fucking governor ever, motherfucker. You will be primary the fuck out in May. End of fucking story. We've already seen your goddamn globalist grift bullshit. We've already seen your out-of-touch fucking billionaire antics for the last 2 fucking years now is what it is, and we're sick and tired of it. So, and of course you got dipshit DeWine also doing that stuff right now because he was the one that brought him here is what it was. And I think really what it is I think DeWine's trying to save face in some ways because he doesn't want to admit that it was his fuck up that caused this whole thing is what it is, even though it totally was. And then on the flip side of that, obviously, you got DeWine also being like, oh, you can't carry guns to protest now. The fuck I can't, motherfucker. This is a constitutional carry state. I have every legal right as an American citizen to do so. Of course, I'm not going to, and this is the problem with dumbass politicians, whether it be DeWine, whether it be Trump, etc. That's what it is these people are fucking 90s Democrats, dude. They've always been 90s Democrats. They'll always be 90s Democrats. That's why I said the other day I had that epiphany, what I call the Smirnoff epiphany, where it's literally our entire government at this point is being run of a mix between 2026 psychotic Democrats that need to be mental institutions everywhere is what it is right now. And you have these 90s Democrats that are going to be Republicans now is what it is. And that's why you have so many rhinos is what it is there. And that's why you have them flip-flopping on stuff where Trump, runs for office and is like, oh, I'm totally going to take care of, the 100 million illegals that are in this country, or whatever the case be. And then meanwhile, it's like a year plus now into his administration, he's only taking care of like 1 million of them. Now he's doing all kinds of flip-floppy shit where he's like, oh, we're only going after like the most hardcore criminals now that are child molesters and rapists and not just kick everybody the fuck out. It's like, no, dude, you should be kicking everybody the fuck out at this point, honestly. Like, it should have been daily kickouts at this point, honestly, dude, for real. Like, everybody that was here, like, I would say, first of all, if you can walk up to a person and you say, hey, or hi, or whatever the case be, and they do not say hi back in English, kick them the fuck out. It's that simple, dude. Like, just assume they're a foreign national, boom the fuck out is what it is. Or assume there's some illegal alien, keep the fuck out is what it is there. Like, if they don't speak English as a first and only language, dude, then they get the fuck out is what it is. It's that simple. That's how shit needs to be. For real. But anyway. But yeah, the reason I bring it up, obviously, at night for this Grandstand is because it's supposed to be sometime tomorrow is when the temporary protection status for these fucking Haitians that shouldn't be in the first place finally ends, and then we're gonna have ICE finally in here kicking their asses out of what it is there. And I demand video of ass kicking. This is what it is, dude. Like, they better be putting some ass on us at this point. What's funny to me is you have all these liberals, all these white saviors, etc. There, they're a bunch of leftists. And I'm personally getting real sick and tired of the whole white savior complex bullshit where it's like, oh, we gotta save the world. Oh, we gotta be the fucking world police and the world bank. It's like, no, the fuck we don't, dude. We gotta take care of ourselves first and fuck everybody else until then is what it is. Like, we don't need to be giving a dime out to any other country right now is what it is, ever again. Especially not fucking Israel, especially not fucking any Central American nation. They can all fuck off. That's the one big thing I disagree with Honda on, honestly, is him being all like, oh yeah, we should just give them a $5,000 fucking bonus to get the fuck out. It's like, dude, they've already stolen, like, a lot of these illegals have already stolen hundreds of thousands, not millions of dollars from us. They've stolen more money from us than you will ever have in your lifetime, sir. So why the fuck would we give them an incentive to leave? No, if anything, we need to take every that they have right now to their name and take that and redistribute to American people. That's what it is right now, and a big check is what it would be then. And at that point, kick them in the fucking ass on the way out the door to this then and be like, get the fuck out, go back to Mexico, bitches. Because the thing is, people don't, or any place for that matter, where the fuck they're from, Mexico, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, whatever the fuck it is, doesn't matter, honestly. Venezuela, etc. Or even the Middle Eastern ones that'll come in here because they're a bunch of terrorists, like, boot them the fuck out too is what it is, dude. You know, kick them the fuck back to Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Serbia, all that shit, like, that's what it is there. So, all the stands, Kazakhstan, all that stuff like that, what it is there. So, anyway. But the entire point of the matter is, it's like, yeah, when there's been proven, when it can be proven right now that you have these people that come here illegally, work under the table for like 20 years or so, give or take, maybe 25 years or so, breaking a fuck ton of money without ever paying a dime into our taxation system is what it is now. And then they will wire that money through Western Union and other similar wire transfer companies, like that's what it is, back to their home nation, whether that be Mexico, whether that be, you know, some other Central American country, whatever it is there. And then they'll retire at like the age of 50 or so is what it is. Go back to their home in these Central American nations. And that home is now them having a mini mansion built there is what it is, like a 5-6 bedroom mansion, there's what it is then. And they just live off the money they have there because it's like so much, like you could only take like $100,000 down there and it'd be like $1 million basically for like a 10-year time span or whatever. So, because of the exchange rate and stuff like that, what it is. So, God forbid if you have a couple million or whatever the case be, you racked up, like you got like basically a life, you can live good, man, for the rest of your life, honestly. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, honestly, dude. And it's like, why should we give people a dime when they've already stolen so much from us what it is now? If anything, we should be taking the shit back from them is what it is, you know, we should be. And I hate to sound like that because it kind of does sound a little bit communist is what it is there, but it's like, it needs to fucking be that way, honestly, dude. It's like, yeah, you fucked us, we're going to fuck you now is what it is. So, of course, I'm not going to say seize the means of production or something like that because that's just dumb. But, God forbid, some uses that shit as a soundbite now if I ever do run for like the office in the future. I'm sure they will, but I'll have it on the whole thing and I'll just take out I'll give them the real clip is what it is then. So, but anyway, I mean, hell, with AI anymore, you can basically fake that shit with anybody. It doesn't even matter. It looks so damn real anymore. So, but yeah, anyways, the entire point of the matter is like, these people have no business being here in the first place. Boot them the fuck out, kick them the fuck out by force. The fact that we have not had armed military doing it right now, is, in my opinion, is the wrong move because that's how it should have been done from day one, honestly. You know, it's funny to me that Trump mentioned the whole thing of like, oh, I'm going to be a dictator for a day or whatever the case be. Fucking should have been one for like a week, honestly. And it would have been, yeah, we're going to boot all these fucking people the hell out of our country by armed force. And it would have been that fucking simple, honestly, and it would have already said and done with what it is then. So, I'm also hearing a lot of people saying we need a purge now is what it is. Which the problem with that is if you go by the actual rules of the purge universe movies are set in and stuff like that, TV show is set in, you would basically just have all these politicians exempt themselves and be immune from, being purged, essentially is what it does there. Even though, ironically enough, a lot of these, career fuckers that are in there right now are the ones that need to be minimum president right now is what it is currently. So, because they are the fucking problem with society is what it is there. So anyway. But yeah, one thing I thought was interesting this past weekend then, you had, not far from where my aunt lives actually, down there by the county courthouse, there was about 50 people down there, and ironically enough, that particular county here in Ohio has like over 100,000 people in it, and for 1% of the people to be there, it would have been over 1,000 people down there. There was less than 50. So, and I figured out the percent actually they make up was like 0.0, I think it was like 0.04 or 0.0. It was like 0.0049% or whatever the case be. So it was like either a fraction of a percent or like a quarter of a percent or something. That's what it is or something. Like not even a percent, honestly. Like it's just like fractions of a percent all the way around is what it is there. So yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous what it is there. But it really shows like how stupid these people are, because I guarantee if you looked at all the ones that happened this past like week or so, even in Columbus, even in Cleveland and stuff like that, where there's a couple hundred there is what it is. If you took every single one of these leftist dipshits that were out there protesting on behalf of, third world criminals and what it is there, they probably wouldn't even make up a percent of the Ohio population. I'm guessing it'd be maybe like 0.5% of the Ohio population maximum. If you didn't have that much, I don't think it would be that much. I think it'd be probably like a fifth of a percent or something that would be then. So, anyway. But yeah, it's just a bunch of fucking nut jobs that need to be locked the fuck up, and that's the problem. We're not having people in power right now that are willing to lock them the fuck up is what it is there. For their own mental health, for their own mental well-being, for society's mental well-being, etc. There's what it is. Moving on to the other topic I want to talk about today, which is deja vu, is basically precognitive dreaming becoming reality right now. For those who don't know, for about the last, I would say, I'm 41 now. I think this really started when I was around 6 or 7, initially, that I can remember. And then it kind of went away a little bit in my teen years when I was about 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there for a couple of years. And then it seemed to return when I was about 19 or 20, give or take. And basically, there were a lot of times where I would have dreams that would then become reality. And obviously, when you're a little kid, you have like you think you're having essentially what is deja vu. You don't know deja vu is what it is there. And so you start freaking out basically. And then obviously when you get older, you realize what it actually is, and this precognitive dreaming becoming reality is what it is there. And so it's basically all these dreams that I had became true. They became reality at some point is what it is. And most of them, it was like a conversation here and there. It was me having a car ride with somebody and talking with them. And then it's part of the conversation was whatever dream I was having is what it is there. I happened a couple times to meet with my uncle. Another one was, obviously, the uncle I'm talking about is the one that's dead now is what it is. He was one that died before my mom did then. They both were murdered by the COVID shots is what it is. I'm going to say that straight out right now is what it is, because they both took that shit and they both died from that shit. And my mother obviously took it because she did DeWine's bullshit Vaccine-Million that would have never been in reality without that piece of shit Amy Acton. That's exactly why DeWine, Acton, and also Vivek Ramaswamy's ass, who was part of the board for the COVID response in 2020 and has paid off Wikipedia and a bunch of other places to try and screw it from there. And here's what it is. Every single one of these fucking cocksuckers is being put up first right now. That's what it is, dude, for crimes against humanity. They all need to be sitting in prison cells, awaiting the death penalty for crimes against humanity is what it is now. And the fact they're not is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that you have two of these pieces of shit running for political office right now, the fact that you have the other one as a sitting governor for the next, 8 months or so, give or take, is absolutely ridiculous, because they should all be in prison right now for the rest of their lives is what it is. So, it's just absolutely disgusting, dude. It really fucking is. And I'll tell you right now, if I ever do get into political power, if I ever do get into political office, one of my first, especially if I get into a governorship, my first act will be to put every single one of these cocksuckers away for the rest of their lives is what it is then. So, because that's the only justice that my mother and my uncle deserve at this point. Not to mention everybody else that these COVID shots have killed, which is why these CEOs that created the shit need to be put away too, for that matter, and everybody else was on the board of directors, etc. there that knew damn well they were killing people, knew damn well they were creating kill shots for American citizens. And yeah, they only be brought up on Nuremberg trials as what it is right now. So anyway, but yeah, the reason that precognitive dreaming knows what it is because recently, last night specifically is what it was, I was doing some stuff, and I don't know if I just was having like memory flashbacks, or if I was having like some really weird ass version of PTSD or what it is. Because I was sitting here and I was thinking about some stuff, and I was looking at my old family homestead, what it was, and how it's been changed so much by the new people that bought it, what it is now. And like it looks totally different. Well, it looks similar but different now is what it is. Because obviously they've erected a fence in the past like year or so, and then done some other stuff to the exterior of the house is what it is there. And yeah, it just looks completely different from what it used to be is what it is. And I feel like I don't know, it was almost like I was like slipping between realities or something like that, what it was. Because it was like I was almost like going back into like a memory from like years ago. And I'm not talking about like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm talking about like 8 to 10 years ago, like some weird, like almost like getting stuck in like a Groundhog Day situation or something like that would be then. So, which obviously the day is Groundhog's Day. Apparently Punxsutawney Phil's all his shadow again, so 6 more weeks of winter for that one. Fucking piece of shit rodent. Of course, Buckeye Chuck here, the Ohio equivalent, said he did not see his shadow, so who's to say? I know there's another storm coming, that was what it is, so I'm assuming there's going to be more winter no matter what. I don't know why the hell we're trusting rodents for these predictions is what it is, when it's obviously people that are making the predictions, some meteorologist guy or something is my guess, saying that shit. And then we use a stupid ass fucking literal rodent, a little gopher, to say that crap or whatever. It's just dumb. But anyway. Yeah, needless to say though, I was having like I almost feel like a slip between reality where I was basically here in the apartment and I was like somewhere else, like reliving like a memory or something basically. And like I knew I was not, like I knew I was like this wasn't real basically. Like I could know that for a fact. Like I knew that in my mind. Like I was like, yeah, this isn't real. Like I'm not here, but I'm here. You know. So I don't know if that's something anybody else has ever experienced or not, but. And again, I'm not sure if that's from like some weird side effect of just taking the Delta 8 gummies and stuff like that. That could be a thing too, for that matter. Like who knows about long-term side effects of that stuff. So I would say like, I haven't taken one of those in a while. That's what it is. So I don't know how they would have affected my brain chemistry now is what it is. But yeah, it's definitely, it was a very weird experience for sure. And I know a few months ago, probably about two-ish months ago, give or take now, is when I had a precognitive dream a while ago where I was living in someplace else is what it is now. So I don't know if that's going to happen this year or not. I'm hoping it does. Obviously, I would assume it will in the next few months. Here it'll be then. But yeah, I'm going to make a couple of calls probably in the next day or so. Here's what it is. And maybe just an appointment set up is what it is then. Because there's a different place that would be in the town next to the one I used to live in. And it was the place I originally wanted to move into last year, but unfortunately got rented out before I got a chance to live there is what it was then, or move in there is what it was then. And so I'm hoping to do what I need to do right now and get this taken care of. Obviously, it would be more than I'm paying right now in rent. It would be about, I think right now I'm paying like $725 a month plus utilities, which right now equaled out to about $850-ish, give or take now. Where I know in this place that I'm potentially moving into, it would be $850 a month starting, but they take care of everything but electricity. So I get water taken care of, I got my sewer taken care of, I got my trash taken care of, all that stuff like that. and it would just be electricity. So as long as I could keep the electricity bill down, I could probably swing it with my disability check. That's what it is. I'm sure I don't have much money left after that. That'll be the case then. Probably nothing actually. After rent payment and then electric payment and stuff like that. But as long as it wouldn't be too bad, it could definitely be a nice place to live for a year or two. Is what it is then. Until I would find like a more permanent area or something like that, or be able to get something else the case then. But I think it would be a lot better than here, honestly, because with that place, it would be, I think it's maybe like a 4-unit setup or something like that too, but it's also, I think it was like a house they converted into like an apartment building is what it was there, because they had like a shared laundry in the basement or something, I think is what it is there. So that would be the big thing, is having to get rid of my own washer dryer or keep it in a storage unit or something. That'd be the case for like a year or two until I'd move then. I really don't want to get rid of it because off the bat it cost me like $1,500 or something like that. What it was. So, or I think it was damn close. Maybe it was like $1,400 or something. I don't know exactly what. It was a lot. It was like at least a couple months rent for sure here. So, unless I would be able to sell it and get my money almost all the way back, so it is on that one, because there's been, I want to say the time I've been here now, I've done probably like maybe 100 loads through that thing, if that even. So anyway, but yeah, it's like I've definitely had some precognitive visions here for sure, like a few, not as many as I used to. And then, like I said, I had that weird one last night where it was almost like I was going through like a different set of realities, or maybe I was like, it might have almost been like I was breaking through the matrix or something like that. If that'd be the case, then just naturally, where I was like escaping the actual thing and seeing like the real world is what it is that we're all jacked into. You know, those never seen the Matrix. Obviously, you got Neo waking up and he's got the thing in the back of his head and shit like that. And he's looking around. It's like a bunch of people in pods and stuff, which I don't think it'd be quite like that, but I could see us being in like some kind of crazy chairs on a ship or something like that. That'd be the case then, because I've had some weird shit happen to me in the last couple of years now that is kind of unexplainable unless you're talking about like a Matrix scenario is what it is then. Because I swear about 3 or 4 years ago now, this would have been like probably the end of 2022 or beginning of 2023, someplace in there. It felt like I was living somewhere between like a week and a month in like a Groundhog Day like repeat scenario is what it is there. Because I was getting up and it was like, my mom was like, "Oh yeah, we got to go to the doctor here for this appointment that you have today or tomorrow, whatever it is there." And I'm like, "Didn't I already have that appointment?" And she's like, "No, it's going on, tomorrow or whatever." Then and I was like, "Oh, okay." And yeah, like it just like I swear to God, it happened like several times in like this weird loop for about a 6-month time span. So I don't know if it was like a 2 or 3 week loop I was living in, or if it was like around a month loop I was living in, but it definitely felt like there was like something going on there. And like I think it was around like the second or third time in, it felt like that I finally like realized what the fuck was going on. I think that kind of was what broke it is what it was then. So I don't know. It's not fun to think you're in something, or realize you might be in something, or realize that you might have a mental break from reality is what it is there. So I don't think I'm quite at that point in my life right now is what it is, but I've been debating about talking to some people about it. It could just be just trauma though at this point, honestly, that brought all this on. I would talk to a therapist once after mom's death and never talk to her again what it was then. So maybe I should look into somebody else and just start talking this stuff out with them and see what they have to say about it. So I know I'm not insane. Like I know that for a fact, but I definitely feel like I need to have like my tethers that were here no longer here is what it is. And I think maybe that's what it is. It's like I need to get like another tether down to like feet on the ground again is what it is or something. So, or hell, maybe I have a fucking brain tumor for all I know. Maybe that's what's causing all of it. Could be anything at this point, honestly, but yeah, it definitely just feels, I don't know. It felt crazy last night though when it happened. Maybe it was just my mind just wanting to kind of go back there to what it is. I mean, hell, maybe I had a momentary, like, time travel moment or something like that for all I know. That'd be crazy. But, I mean, it's possible. I mean, we have, there's been talk of, every time I turn on the CERN super collider, it basically causes, like, the ability for somebody to jump through time or whatever then, or events to happen where time shifts or whatever then. So there's also that one, I heard of one a few years ago now, where it was called like I forget if it was 1984 or 1986 event, something like that, where it was this group of people who clearly remember our world having like basically a World War III back then, and them basically surviving like nuclear fallout as what it was there. And then from that, it was basically the world essentially like reset itself because it was like people that were able to like reset it or something that in case then. So yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like it could be some kind of like weird like divine intervention kind of situation, or like ghost activity or spiritual intervention from my dead mother or dead father or dead parents in general. I don't know. Like I know when I was looking up earlier, it said like specifically with like PTSD and like trigger stuff. Like it could be stuff like that, honestly. So it might just be me having like low-grade PTSD and not even realizing it. Which I mean, it would make sense post-traumatic stress-wise, just because of the fact with the autism, and then me already being kind of emotionally distraught from other things. So what it is there, and my mind kind of being, fractured a little bit here and there is what it is. Like it would make sense for me to have something like that happen, what it is, or mom's death, and just never being able to get over that, obviously, because of what happened to her, and obviously the people that never being brought to justice that are responsible for her death is what it is there. Her murder specifically is what it is. And yeah, like it just, there's something for sure going on there is what it is. So I don't know. It's just very irritating in general. So I don't know if it's something where, like, I assume, like, truthfully, like, I've always believed in, like, time travel and, like, alternate universes and stuff like that, so it could very well be something where it was even, like, a dimensional shift for all I know, because, again, I don't know how long it's been since they turned on CERN, how much, government shit's going on right now with all this stuff, where it's, it could be, like, dimensional shifts, dimensional rifts, or for all that matter, for all I know, I'm in a dimensional rift right now is what it is. And it just kind of opened like just a sliver is what it is there for a couple minutes or something then, and I was able to like see into maybe like another universe where my mom is still here and things, or who knows, dude. Like I know emotion is like traumatic and stuff like that, and I know, having watched that show The Dead Zone back in the day, that we only use like it's like 10 or 15% of our brain or something like that's what it is there. So when you got 85 or 90% there was still not being used, like it could just be one of those factors being open or something like that within me for all I know, like momentarily or something. So, and I would assume like people with that kind of ability, if that be the case then, where you would have like 100% brain capacity use or whatever, you can't tell me that there's not going to be people with like abilities at that point, like whether it be, X-Men type supernatural abilities or something, or Avengers type abilities, whatever the case be, like super strength, super speed, etc. There's what it is. Or even people that can time travel or, teleport and stuff like that would be then. So, yeah, who's to say, man? Who's to say if I'm not, just naturally unlocking that to like the tip of the iceberg or something is there or something. So who knows? But yeah, what I do know is that I'm definitely gonna be looking at other places to move to in the next few days as what it is, and start contacting people, see if I can get a place set up for sometime next month is what it'll be then. And then nothing else, but I have like the entire month of March to move out is what it is then from here. That'd be great because I could just, when you have to hire movers, I could just do like a little bit of time and just have some of my shit sitting over in that place or whatever. Or actually, no, I probably would do a mover actually, now thinking about it, because it would be stupid to do it like one trip at a time and then because I'd have to then update my renter's insurance to a different place than it is then. So yeah, just be better to have everything like ready to go out and just like do it all at once or whatever then. Which most of it's already packed up still. It's just a matter of boxing up like some books and stuff like that right now, and a few other things are in the bedroom there. You know, a few boxes and totes and stuff like this would be. So anyway, but fast I mean, it would make sense. The 2-year anniversary of Mom's death was like I said, like a couple weeks ago. That's what it is. It would have been 2 weeks ago yesterday, so like 15 days ago. And I was supposed to go. We were gonna do my brother, myself, two of my aunts, and I think it was my cousin. Or no, sorry, 3 of my aunts and then my cousin were gonna go over there to the grave and just like lay some flowers and stuff like that's what it would have been. And then go get something to eat. And unfortunately, the snowstorms came through for Fern, and we were able to do that stuff as it was then. So, which our plan now is to do that on her birthday, or it would have been her birthday, which would be June 9th. So, yeah. It just sucks to know that she didn't make it. To see 80. Which would have been if she had been alive still, this would have been her, I believe, 77th birthday. 78th birthday. Yeah, it would be 78th birthday. Because she would have been born in 48 is what it was. So, yeah, she only made it to 76, I believe, was what it would have been then. Or no, she was 75 and a half when she died. I do believe, because she died before her 76th birthday then. Yeah. So it was January before her 76th birthday is when she died. So yeah, she was 65 and some change of it was then. So almost 76, but not quite. Anyway. But yeah, I definitely need to. I think I just need to talk to somebody, or maybe find like a group therapy kind of thing for like family grief or something. That'd be the case then, and go from there. Is what it is. So, on that note, we'll be back most likely tomorrow, as long as Honda does a chat, which would probably be like 10:30 somewhere in there. So. Till later, I'll see you guys in the next one. We got about 5 minutes right now until I'm supposed to technically be in quiet hours here at this place. Which I hear my neighbor guy. He has some people over right now. What it is? They were listening to some kind of rap junk on his stereo earlier tonight. Which thankfully I was able to put on my headphones and listen to my own music, and it was able to drown it out. Is what it was. That was the problem with Dickhead Don back here, is that he had this shit so fucking loud. Or it wasn't even music, actually. Most of the time it was just him like yelling and screaming and shit in the middle of the night when he was doing that stuff. Like, I could have my headphones on, be watching a show at like 30 or 40% volume, or even have my headphones on to listen to music at 50% volume, and I could still hear that asshole through the fucking headphones as it was then. So I only take those when I'm like serious pain, which I've been serious pain for like more than a week now is what it is. And then even then I only took like one. And I've only had, I think, 3 of those at all this entire year, maybe. So, yeah, it's basically when it's like so debilitating I can't even stand up and go walk anywhere is what it is when I usually take one of those. Or it just hurts so bad when I'm like trying to walk. My back is so fucked or whatever then. But yeah, that's the case right now. But I can see in a couple of days maybe needing one because my knee is definitely hurting right now. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. That's what it is. So anyway, but plus the fact that I can't get him anymore because dipshit DeWine signed that stupid ass unconstitutional crap in the place there. People are taking away Ohio and the weed rates is what it is. That being said, I do have a bunch on hand right now that I could have for. I think I could probably take one a day for like at least a couple months anyway, and that'd be good for what I have right now on hand. So, with how many's in the bag and stuff like that. So I think it'd be like 1, 2, 3, probably about 4-ish months, give or take. I'd probably take one a day for that. Which hopefully that would not be the case, and if nothing else, then I would have to go someplace else and get them. Then that's what it is, or something. But yeah, either way, it is what it is. So, but yeah, I'm not sure if it was that causing my stuff, or maybe it was just like I said, maybe like a PTSD sort of flashback to a better time or something, whatever the case maybe, or something. Because now usually with PTSD, it'd be like more flashbacks and stuff like that, or it'd be like, you know, like some kind of traumatic stress or whatever then. But with that, it would be almost like a flashback to a better earlier time in history or whatever then, if that'd be the case. So, who knows? Hell, it could be the aliens causing some shit right now, whatever the case be, because then they're about to drop a comment on our asses or something, that'd be the case now. Or like I said, it could always be government just fucking around with stuff, and you know, people like me that would be like a sensitive or like psychic abilities or whatever the case be might be affected by it. So I mean, it would make sense. You know, people always joke about weaponized autism, but like, who's to say we're not actually like that? That we're not actually like in tune with like, you know, like it's us being like the harmony for like the psychics of the world or something like that. That would be the case. I did always find myself drawn to Professor X and Jean Grey in the X-Men cartoons and stuff like that back in the day. So, and also Cable for that matter too. But yeah, who's to say, man? But yeah, I don't know. It's just craziness though either way, and hopefully it'll be dealt with soon, and everything else will be a memory and stuff like that's what it is. So, anyways, but that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Peace out. Stay safe. Always be vigilant. Always be carrying, all that good stuff like that. And yeah, it's good to talk about these things, because if we don't talk about these things, then that's, you know, how you go down a pathway where you don't want to be down and you can't come back from. Is what it is. So, whereas I don't want to go down that pathway, is what it is, and I feel like we are heading for something very bad, as what it is right now. Especially when I was watching a Tim Pool video earlier where he was talking about, I guess, I think in the last year there was some politician in power right now in Congress or something like that that basically admitted finally that we're already in an actual civil war right now, is what it is. And it's just a matter of time before it goes like completely hot across the board, is what it is there. So, which I wouldn't be surprised to see in the coming months, honestly. And that's why I'd rather be someplace where it's more neutral, where if something does go down, I can literally, like with here, the problem being here right now and having no vehicle still, is if something does go down, I'm basically stuck here, and the closest ride to me is like 15 minutes away for family, versus if I was in the same town they live in, it would be like a 3 to 5 minute drive from that place to come grab me, is what it is then. Where it'd be them just like pulling up and I'd be running out with like a bunch of guns and my go bag, is what it is then. That would have like, you know, various clothing and then other stuff that I would need, that then is what it is. So, extra ammo, etc., etc. There would be food, water, medicine, all the good stuff like that's what it is. So, but anyway, so yeah, needless to say, it's a situation where I'd much rather be in a better place than I am right now. That's what it is. Really, if I could be honest, I'd much rather be back where I used to be with my family's property, but Unfortunately, that belongs to someone else now, and they definitely got a steal in that place because that should have gone for at least probably $500,000 when we, you know, didn't even get 2/5 of that out of it, is what it is. So, but anyway, it is what it is. Can't go back, just got to go forward. So, candy dip pretzel. I don't know, I prefer just the Reese's Cups. I got some sitting over there. I still need to open those up and eat them. I also need to stop eating a bunch of sugar and stuff. I don't know. I feel like, honestly, with the amount of sugar I eat a day, like unknowingly, it's probably way too much, honestly. I mean, in some cases it is knowingly, because, you know, I do love me some Laffy Taffy rope stuff, so, which I know has definitely put on weight this year for me, but it just tastes so good. But yeah, I know there was a whole discussion going on with people talking about junk food and states banning different kinds of junk food from SNAP benefits and things like that. That's what it is, and it's like, I agree to a point on that one, but then eventually it does become, you know, it's kind of like, and that's what I kind of do agree with, like the whole like Nazi thing that is there. When it comes to like the, sorry, let me rephrase that. I do not agree with Nazism. What I agree with is people making the assumption of like Nazi administration stuff is what is there, because eventually, like, you're essentially controlling what people are doing is what it is there. Now, granted, that being said, as some other people brought up, you know, you are like, like the SNAP cards or UT cards is there is basically Food Daddy, and it's like, yeah, if you're on Food Daddy's, you know, bill, it's Food Daddy going to tell you what you're going to fucking eat is what it is there. So I can totally get that, honestly, but it does just feel like a form of control in some ways. What it is there. That being said, it's for the betterment of society, I think is what it is in a lot of cases, where it is trying to make people healthy is what it is, and make healthier options, healthier choices, etc. there. And I think really what needs to happen is, I think the issue that I've seen a lot of is people just not knowing how to cook is what it is. And I think we just need to have people be given like free home economics type classes, what it is again, as adults, and just teach these people how to make like basic simple meals using like healthy ingredients and stuff like that's what it is there. And being able to make like, you know, better snacks for themselves and their kids and stuff like that using like an oven or an air fryer or something like that would be then, or a dehydrator or whatever the case be. And yeah, you just make like better things, you make better options, make better choices. And I know in a lot of ways it would be a way to definitely get diabetes down in a lot of communities, especially the Black community for that matter. So it would allow people to actually be healthier Americans and lose weight, etc. So overall, I do agree with some of the stuff. And I feel like meal prepping in general, like meal prepping type classes would be a better thing as well, with like economics classes or home economics classes would be there for community members and stuff like that in the community. So, because that's one thing I definitely wanted to do here, but unfortunately, with the way that my stuff was brought here, it was kind of hard to ever find what I needed to do that with. And I'm not even so sure I have enough like containers that I could use from even selling Tupperware to be able to make the food preps I would need for like a week. Because I know I got one set that I had for stuff, but I think it was only like 2 or 3 things that is there for that. So I could do maybe like a day's worth, maybe 2 days worth at most, which is probably better anyway, just because it would force me to then like, you know, do things like every 3 days essentially. And then that way I could have like, you know, a meal for the rest of the week is what it is there. Because I know specifically you should only eat like certain things for a amount of time, or whatever the case, because there was a guy recently who I think it was in the last year. I forget exactly. I don't even know if it was America or a different country for that matter, but I know this guy was doing like meal prep stuff for like a week or whatever. And it was some kind of pasta stuff or something he made. And I forget exactly what he had put into it, but basically he had let it sit, I believe, in his fridge, and ended up getting like a dangerous like like it wasn't like botulism, but it was like something similar, like some bacterial growth or whatever the case be. That was like E. coli or salmonella or something. Maybe it was on it. And then I guess he wasn't sure when it got cooked or whatever the case be. He just decided to eat it anyway or whatever. And I believe it killed him, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, definitely. It's a bad deal all the way around. But yeah, I think that's kind of what people would be more about, dude. Like if you would have if you would just have like allotments on the stuff where it's like, oh, you can only buy like, one 12-pack of soda a month or something like that on the EBT stuff or whatever. Or it's like, oh, you can only buy like this much sugar or whatever the case be then. And the one thing I thought was interesting when I was watching that Lindy Glenn woman stuff the other day was she was mentioning about how with these people, they were babbling on about like, oh, it's so much more expensive to buy healthy stuff. In reality, it's not actually. And like I said, I think a lot of it is just like bullshit things because it's basically the gimme, I want kind of crowd of what it is there instead of like, no, you can't have this. Like, go make yourself a cake, go make yourself some brownies, go make yourself some fucking shit. But the problem is they don't know how to make that stuff because they're either illiterate or ignorant or just don't have the skill set what it is there because they never learned how to do these things. And so we basically made a generation of dependency where it's easier for them to just go buy like a pack of snack cakes than to actually go make a friggin' thing of, snack cakes themselves that would be maybe even healthier for that matter and have less sugar and stuff, and that's what it is then. Or less processed, ingredient stuff is what it is then. And be healthier for them long term. So, anyway, but yeah, it would be nice to see a better country overall. It would be nice to see a country that actually, gives a fuck about an American culture, which that was one thing the other day I heard about too, was I guess now for the first time in American history, the white birth rate of this nation is now under 50%, which is not good because when you have the minorities making up the majority, that is how you have no Bill of Rights anymore. That's how you have a literal communist hellhole in the next decade or two is what it is then. So that's when you have people that don't speak English and don't care to speak English and you just have like 50 different languages going on there. Where it then becomes that like weird ass South Park language of the future where they're speaking like some weird like Jabberwocky shit or whatever the case be. So who knows? But and I think that's another thing too. People just don't know how to shop is what it is, or don't know how to shop to make meals and stuff like that's what it is there. So because I remember there was one. Actually, that's one thing I do remember. Actually, come to think about it now. It was this woman that had her, I believe, EBT cut. And then they were basically, it was a pantry that gave her like a food box, whatever the case be. And she's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this shit or whatever the case be? And it was like, I think it was like a bag of onions, a bag of apples. It was either sugar or brown sugar, maybe both actually. And then you had pasta sauce, pasta, and like a few other things in there. And she was babbling on about like only going for like a week or something like that max or whatever. And it was like, no, I could probably like depending on the amount of people, I could probably stretch it out to at least close to 2 weeks, honestly, with what was in the box. So then you could do a bunch of stuff with that is what it is. And like I'm pretty sure there's milk there too. I'm pretty sure there's cheese there too. So you could do like some kind of a casserole with the cheese. You could do some kind of a like baked ziti, some kind of baked pasta, whatever the case be one time, and then you could do like another kind of pasta a different time during that time period. So, and it's just people not knowing how to do stuff. So what it is, dude, it's them not knowing how to like even follow a basic recipe in a lot of cases, because like I said, you have the illiteracy rate of school systems going up like crazy now. It's like we talked about the other day with that one in Georgia where it had the ICE protest. And they had to walk out against ICE is what it was. And then their proficiency in basic reading was only 16% of the school. And their proficiency in math was only 6% is what it was. So they had almost no basic math skills at all. and you had only not even 1/5 of the school being able to be literate and know how to read. So, yeah, it's just pathetic is what it is, man. And it makes sense when you have all these videos coming out now of all these teachers that are going from kindergarten through like senior year, trying to basically get these kids to be activists now is what it is. Which, how you're not being fired on the spot in every single situation like that, I have no idea, but probably because the teachers' unions being my guess at this point, which is why I've said for years now we need to get rid of those teacher unions because they are the fucking problem. They are the ones being created and lorded over by Marxist pieces of shit. They need to be kicked the fuck out of this country entirely is what it is now. So, anyway. But I also saw that video too of that happening. Where yeah, they were trying to have her kid be like some activist or whatever. And she's like, nope, fuck that, I'm taking the scale of score right now is what it is. So, but anyway. But yeah, it's after 10 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a night then, and we'll be back, like I said, probably tomorrow on Honda's chat, if he does one. If nothing else, I'll be back here on Friday for Freedom Friday. And then it depends if my StreamYard for this account goes out before Saturday. Because if I at least have like 5 minutes left on it, I think even if I have like a minute left on it, I'm pretty sure I can still start a stream as what it is now. And just go over that as what it would be. But yeah, it would be, if I don't have the time, then I can't do Slicey Boy Saturday. I'd have to go do a Slicey Boy Sunday is what it is then. But if I do have the time on Saturday, still left on the 20 hours, I'll start it and then basically go over the time as what it is then. For that stream is what it is. But either way, on that note, we will be back. Like I said, Friday guaranteed. Most likely Saturday. As long as I still have stream time is what it is. And then other than that, I don't think I'm going to do any more streams for this week is what it is. Unless something like really important comes up and it's basically going to be like a 10-minute stream or something, that'd probably be my guess. So anyway, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out, stay safe, stay vigilant, all that good stuff. Always be carrying and always know when you need help and actually go and seek said help, because there are times that we all struggle and a lot of people just don't get the help they need in time and unfortunately make a permanent decision to a temporary problem, and you don't need to be doing that. Now is the time to get the help you need. Now is the time to talk with the people that could help you potentially get over your loss issues and stuff like that and go from there. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in the coming days is what it will be. So I will see you guys on Friday. And like I said, if Honda does his stream tomorrow night, I'll see you guys on his channel then. But other than that, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you all on the next one. Later.